is mentioned on the stream this tournament. Yep. So Jason Keller and Dave Koenig back with you.
And we have a battle of two
Yep.
Americans here. Jesse
Yep.
Day had a dominating
Yep.
tournament, finishing second place in the
Mhm.
main event to Nigel, and he actually
Yep.
beat Nigel twice in the event. I think
Mhm.
was the only person to
Yeah.
give Nigel more than one loss.
In fact, when you beat Nigel twice in a tournament, you should just win the tournament. So, you know.
Never mind that Nigel finished several
Yep.
games ahead of Jesse and everybody
Right.
else, but
Right.
Jesse really had an awesome time, and I played him myself, and he
Mhm.
smacked me around with a 500 game.
Yep, smacked me around 2 with a 500 game. I had a little something to do with that. And so Chris is going to start. Jesse gives us the thumbs up.
Chris sort of snuck into the finals matches with a miracle victory, a late
Yeah.
game against Craig Beavers. But he's been here before. In the 2014 World Championship, he also came in as one of the bottom seeds in the tournament of 8 and actually made it all the way to the finals, where he also played Craig Beavers. So Chris is a cool customer. He knows how to handle the pressure of these situations.
And
he's getting some great
Sierra
tiles.
A re-raise.
Yes.
Or re-arise.
Re-arise both. So nice start for
So,
Chris.
yeah.
Before Jesse's even seen his tiles.
Yep. And if I were Chris right now, I would make a decision and go. Because Jesse is very deliberate.
Re-arise probably starting at the double on the left. I think slots the consonants just right.
Mm-hmm.
And that looks like what he's setting up.
Yeah.
Oh, he's playing it this way.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting choice because he could play 2 over to avoid slotting any vowels, but it's not necessarily a bad choice. One thing to consider is that the E is not super dangerous for high-scoring plays there, but if Jesse does make a play going across, it closes the board down in a way he doesn't like. The other case to be made for plays like this is that you immediately take out one of the triples, thereby reducing the chance of a triple-triple happening in the game. And when you've got the early lead, you're up by a bingo, having less volatility, less chance of triple-triples can be a good thing. That being said, it's a very small difference between playing this and 2 over. Either way, they probably are nearly the same.
And Chris has drawn... well, Soutine, but...
Routines.
Routines.
Snoutier.
Snoutier.
Yeah, so Chris has got some Nitrius, too. Nitrius would be a double-double. That was a new word that was added in the last update.
And so
nice start for Chris.
Jesse has foined on his rack.
Foiled is also good, right? F-O-Y-L-E is a verb or only a noun?
Foiled is a verb as well.
Yeah. I don't know that he's going to want to play so long, though. He probably would want to consider playing off fewer tiles to build toward a bingo here.
Well, one thing, foined is a nice overlap. It does shut everything except the E off.
That is true.
And it will happen to block. I think if Jesse obviously is, thinking that, Chris has just drawn another bingo through those tiles, it makes a lot of sense for him to play foined. And foined is a pretty solid score there as well.
I would tend to play foiled instead of foined, but this is
well,
actually an interesting one in terms of
Right.
Quackle. Not to say that Quackle knows everything, but I believe that the way it evaluates the tiles, it thinks that N is slightly better than L in TWL, but it thinks that L is better than N in Collins. I'm not sure it's right about those judgments, but it shows you how close the call is there.
Yeah. And then there's also... Is it going through Jesse's mind if foiled is a word? Or is it going through his mind right now, is foined a word?
It's also possible he doesn't even think of foiled, or who knows. Well, no. So, of course, the funny thing here is, even though it was not part of his strategy, he would like to keep the board more open, it actually would block both R's and take away his Chris's bonuses if he happens to play the 6-tile play there.
Yeah.
Jesse is, as you mentioned, being deliberate. He takes
Yep.
his time. Most games he gets down to less than a minute left on the
Yeah.
clock, it seems.
Less than 10 seconds.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that being said, whether you
Yep.
play as deliberately as Jesse
Yeah.
or not, a lot of
Uh-huh.
players do like to take a little extra time on the opening play.
Mm-hmm.
So another possibility is actually playing
Yeah.
Foind and
Yeah,
Arisen
risen.
in order to create a more open board.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually a quite
that-
reasonable thing to do here, given that he's already trailing by a bingo.
Mm-hmm.
He's
No,
going
but
for
he's
the
going
overlap,
over.
though.
Where is he? Yeah, he's going over.
See, I would rather play foiled to hold on to that end for Rearisen if you're going to play there.
Mm-hmm. So, oh.
No, he's
Oh.
taking it back.
Uh.
Not really clear whether he was thinking about the long play or thinking about just playing
Mhm.
foy as a 3.
Uh-huh.
These are all reasonable plays.
Yeah, he's now going for Foind.
Hmm.
And so...
So my best guess here is he actually forgot about foiled or just didn't think of
Yeah.
the word, because in the particular case that there is an open end hook for Rearisen, foiled is probably the stronger play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Chris Lipe has 66, Jesse Day 35 points for Foind. And...
Now,
And
I'm guessing Chris doesn't have any 9s here because he's still a little too vowel heavy. But he definitely has a rack that sort of demands that you fish off tiles and go for the bingo.
Mhm.
Even though he's up and doesn't want to be a fisherman too much, the fact is you just really can't score that much, and you may as well do what you can to maximize the value of your tiles.
Yeah.
So one way to do that is to play SOU off of the S, which creates the SOUS hook and also
Mhm.
leaves the Rearisen hook,
Yeah.
while leaving a very strong EINST.
Yeah.
I'm not really
Yeah,
seeing a
it
better
is-
fish
it
than
is-
that right now.
yeah.
So one thing
Is
notice
there-
is that is a better play than playing OU and OE off of the Rearise, even though it does create some risk in setting up an X spot,
Mhm.
because you're only
Yeah.
creating one lane in the first case. You block your own lane and create a new one, whereas the case of
Yeah.
SOU, you're creating a lane at the bottom while you
Mhm.
have the one on the top.
Yeah. There's... And yeah, getting rid of there are some fishes that keep the U, but they don't really do anything. Playing something like NO or TO if you want to save for Rearisen, but that kind of seems ill-advised.
Yeah,
And
really
Jesse-
unfortunate draw for Jesse, all
Yes.
consonants. He, of course, he would rather have the N for Rearisen, but even with that, he probably would still be trading in this situation.
Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting to see what Chris and the
He's thinking about
only-
twerk, I see.
Oh.
See, one reason
So-
that it's worth it for Jesse to play through there is that if he draws the A or the O, he'll have Jor
Jor
with
and-
a
yep.
big score on the J. But of course, Chris has to make his move first.
Mhm. And he does not have any 9s with that rack. I'm sure he's taking a little bit of time to see that. The only two-letter word that goes with that is ST for snoutiest. Quackle is suggesting that he has uterine as a double-double.
It's not a bad play.
It's not a bad play.
I would guess that SOU and Uterine might be kind of close to each other. Is it even giving SOU as a possibility?
Yeah, SOU's a little behind on Sim.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There is something to be said for, definitely uterine seems like a pretty good play just to also play through because you can get into the situation where you just keep not hitting and not scoring.
Yeah, I don't like to play too afraid, though, early in the game. I'm not saying that's necessarily the only way to play,
Yeah.
but my style is to go for the bingo.
And he's fished an O for or
So this is not just a fish. This is a defensive fish.
Oh, yeah.
What he's doing, he's
Right.
taking away that big J
Right.
spot.
Mhm.
He's recognizing that it's a tight board, and his opponent isn't going to be able to score it. It's going to
Yeah.
likely open up the board more for him while he's also trying to hit a bingo again. I think Or is actually a very good
Oh, and
play for that
Chris
kind of
is-
board
Yeah.
because he's recognizing that as long as he takes away that one spot, there's not likely to be a lot left for Jesse, and he's forced to open the board more for Chris.
And Chris just got his useful L, as we were talking about earlier.
Yep.
So
He has Lunius, Utensil, Luteins, Untiles.
Yep. Ooh.
And Jesse's rack did improve. He got a couple of vowels. But Chris should bingo now.
Yeah.
Let's see which one he
he's
goes
gonna
for.
vote for.
He's playing Lunius? No. What is he doing?
Wait.
Oh, he thought Lunius
He thought
fit there.
Lunius
It didn't
fit
fit.
there. And now he plays Utensil. Yeah.
So this is quite a reasonable way to play in terms of trying to keep the board tight and not create any S hooks. That does still have that big rearisen hook open, though.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, going for score, so Chris gets 74. So Chris now has 145 to Jesse Day's 59. Jesse has Juco lined up. It plays in the F column here. That seems pretty standard. And let's see. Chris
More
draws
bingo
another.
tiles for
Ooh.
Chris.
Oh.
Almost PATs, but he drew third I instead.
Yeah, so Juco.
Now Chris has the nice play TP to dump some of those vowels, though.
Yeah.
Let's see. So yes, Jesse's doing what he can to score with a J and open up the board more. But he's got to improve that GLT rack on this draw to have a good chance here. And he's sort of lucky that Chris got the multiple eyes. It's going to slow him down a little bit so that Jesse has more of a chance to get back in the game. And Jesse's rack is improving.
Yeah.
A length he has.
Yeah.
And he'll have spots for it, too, making
many
LA
spots.
or AE.
Or rearisen.
Or rearisen, yep.
Yeah.
So a good chance that he will be able to get that down on the next play. And Chris is doing, let's see, what can he do? He can play TP and ITLI.
Yeah.
That is one place for it. See, you're not crazy about creating an S hook there, but one thing that's good about that is that the S hook doesn't score much.
Yeah.
So that if Jesse did get a bingo there, it would be a low scoring bingo.
And it does kill that row. Or at least.
Also, he has an S, so there is reason to be setting it up.
Yeah.
See, one aggressive way I sometimes like playing these plays is actually making TP off of the T and Utensil, setting up your own S hook. Because already two are played, and he has the third S. There's a good chance that Jesse does not have one yet.
With two blanks, it's also something that could get easily killed by an overlap to the triple.
It's true, but the blanks aren't really that much of a concern because he's not likely to burn the blank as an S unless it's a bonus, and then he'll have the bonus elsewhere anyway.
Yeah.
And it's not making it that much higher scoring as a bonus. See, the reason I like that is it leaves EIST. Keeping the T with his rack actually makes his rack a lot stronger than if he plays off TP and leaves EIS. Again, it's one of these situations where there's a temptation to play defensively once you get the early lead, but often balancing the rack while the board's still open early and playing for the bingo is actually the best way to keep yourself ahead by playing for more offense.
Cockle is liking TP a little bit better.
Which spot for TP you saying?
That
the
spot.
B spot. Yeah.
Yep.
I do like that as well. Again, I like to play aggressively in those situations. And it can backfire sometimes, but it backfires less often than you think it does.
Yeah. And so Chris has played it at row L.
And I mean, this is a good example of why. He's playing a length anyway, and it actually ends up making not much of a difference for Jesse, whether he played that TP or the other one. But for Chris, it could make a big difference. As it turns out, Chris picks a bingo anyway.
He picks
so
Tinders.
he's in good shape. Now, one spot Chris will have for it if it stays open is lit PIIN.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of it depends on where Jesse decides to place bingo. I'm guessing he can't play it on Rearisen anymore.
Is there? I mean, can he
Um,
play it anywhere other than
AE and AI.
AE or AI? Yeah.
He probably goes for AE for safety
Yeah.
here. There is a case to be made for ripping the board wide open with
Yeah.
AI, but I don't think he has to be that desperate yet.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, because this is actually gonna give Jesse the lead temporarily.
yeah, but now Chris is gonna hit Cinders in a really good spot with
Yeah.
LIT.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So a length for 65 means we're actually tied at 155 at this point.
yeah,
Yeah,
we have a slight
we have-
misscore on the board here. It should be 155 to
It
155.
should be
There we
155
go.
to 155. And so Chris Tinders.
Yeah, Chris's Tinders will be coming down at
Yeah.
LIT, PI almost assuredly.
Yeah. It'll be 78 rather.
He has intrudes up top, but I
Yeah.
don't think it's as good a play as down
Yeah.
at the bottom.
And
See, one thing about
Yeah.
playing intrudes up
Mhm.
top is it slots the E between
Yeah.
the triple and the double
Yeah.
letter score. And this also sort of partially blocks the lanes on the right. The fact that he gets Tinders across there,
Yeah.
making sure that those floaters in a lane
Mhm.
are not completely
Yeah.
open for bingos with letters in any position.
yeah. Yeah, this. Yeah, pretty quickly. 78 puts Chris on 233.
So the thing to note here, Chris has gotten great tiles in the early going and
Mhm.
gotten a quick 3 bingos down, but Jesse has
Yep.
done his job of staying within a bingo
Mhm.
striking range here.
Mhm.
He played through some tough tiles, he created the opening with the J and scored
Mhm.
with it, had the big overlap, and he's still, all he needs to do is clean up the rack, get one more bingo, and he'll be right back in this.
Mhm.
It's a
Yeah.
hallmark of good players that
Yep.
they find ways to stick around even when the
Mhm.
opponent is out bingoing them by
Yeah.
a lot.
It's that's why it's called Scrabble and not bingo or bonus. But yeah.
So one possibility is vague and LITE.
Or Vogue or Vouge and yes, AA is a word. Oh, Chris has does Chris have
Sforzato?
yeah, does he have a spot for Sforzato?
Chris has gotten some amazing tiles this game.
Yeah.
Such an interesting question whether Jesse wants to play Vogue or Vague here. Usually you don't want to leave the duplicates, but
Mhm.
there's a case to be made that AA might be
Yep.
slightly better than AO.
Yeah. So Jesse's taking his time here.
One of the things you like about making a play like Vogue or Vague is that the LITE sets up the leader hook or lights, creating another lane for more
Yeah.
bonuses. And he's still got the lane there and the lane across IN on the top, and then of course vertically through some of the letters in a length,
Mhm.
and horizontally through the U and the C. So Jesse's still got
Mhm.
the kind of board he wants, where he can create some bonuses to come
Yeah.
back.
Mhm. Now he's got a Vig. Yeah, Vogue is preferred, but it's still
Probably a pretty
according to
close call
Crackle
between
Sim, Jesse's not a very even at this point. He's still in it, but he's not. He's under 10%.
And that's not even taking into account the
Yep,
lack of
and-
Christian's
yeah.
growth to blank in the Z.
Yeah.
Yeah, part of the problem for Jesse is that even after he hits this play, he's going to be leaving an unbalanced two
Mhm.
vowels. He really needs
Yep.
his rack to improve to
Mm-hmm.
get out of this hole. I do lean toward playing Vague over Vogue here. I think it is a very close call.
Mm-hmm.
AA might be slightly better for bingos, but the problem is that when you don't draw the bingo, you're going to have more flexibility
Yeah,
with varied
and
vowels.
there are fewer O's left.
Not a very big
It's not a
difference.
very
though.
big difference, though. Yeah. Vague. Mm-hmm. Huh. So, Sforzati do not. Of
Are there any other bonuses besides those?
Forzatos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Chris does have just a cheap Za play for 45, but so Jesse just scored 25 to go to 180. And did Jess is oh wow. I thought Jesse was going to draw Myeloma there. Which would have been sick.
That wouldn't fit, I don't think.
It wouldn't fit, but it would have been sick anyway.
But yes, Chris does have a very nice play
Yeah.
of just Za.
Za.
And kind of good timing for
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. If
And futzers is not a word, I believe.
Futzers is not a word. Yeah. Oh, he's going Zarf for 40.
That is very aggressive.
Yeah, that's very aggressive.
So he's going for the bingo. He's keeping a stronger lead. There's obviously some risk in opening up for Jesse, but often, you are the one with the blank in the ass. So you should be playing for the bingos.
Yeah.
I just find it's kind of funny that I think it's reasonable to play Zarf, but that's the same type of mentality that wanted me to play TP earlier off of the tea and utensil.
Yeah. And Zarf is looking better, and so is Chris's rack.
Geofacts as a
Geofacts,
triple.
Is a 9 time. The Jesse probably looks like Flamey though, just for a nice score.
Well, that'll be interesting if Jesse wants to close that down or to open up some other part of the board. I could see him placing like Yam up top, making JO and UM to try to create distractions up top and leave that open for himself.
But I think Flamey is just too many points.
And it also does create a lane.
And it does, and it's it's got
14.
it's a 7-letter lane. So. Chris is probably trying to Jedi mind trick Jesse into playing somewhere else.
Well, Chris is bingoing anyway. His
he's bingoing it anyway, sure. But yeah, he's got
Jedacts and Jin is one possibility. He may have some others.
Yep. Oh well, he's got like except it's kind of an airball. He's got Gaussiest. I mean, Chris has been going, but sorry, Jesse scored 39 for Flamey. He's now at 219.
Interesting question. What's going to be Chris's best way of bingoing to keep the board tight here? Gatchers, I think, is good too. Or is it Gratches both? No, only Gatchers.
Something like maybe co-agents.
Yeah, I think I was thinking of Gutchers. That's the one.
Like he has co-agents through the N. Yeah, because that will, it'll start forming a box. As Chris would be commenting.
Co-agents is quite reasonable, but I do wonder if he has a double through the NE.
Oh. Tangences.
Yeah, exactly. That's best.
That
is nice.
Wow. Yeah. Wait, GNC. Yeah, it fits.
So I don't know whether he will find it or not, but knowing Chris, he will take the time to look for the nines.
Yep. And the double is definitely the first spot that I'm sure he's looking.
So one thing that's a little tricky about that is that there's both tangency and tangents, and there's some, what's the word I'm looking for, inconsistency in the dictionary, and whether they're both ENC and ENCY forms of a lot of nouns. So there might be some doubt in Chris's mind, even if he sees tangencies, about whether it's tangents or only tangency.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, given that he is in charge up by almost a bingo and going to leave it for more, he doesn't necessarily want to take a risk on a word he's anything less than 100% on.
Yes. Chris has got the matching ponytail to, well,
So-
actually he needs to color it to match Rainbow Dash. but
Surprisingly, Jesse is actually in the lead on the clock here.
yeah.
Usually he's the
yeah.
one who's deep in time pressure, but I guess
Yeah.
Chris has had a lot of bingos to think about on his
Yeah.
time.
And how to play them. So, yeah. Yeah. But yeah, 10, well. Oh, it looks like he's at least he's found
He's
it.
found tangences. Nice.
That
is a
that
world
is-
championship caliber
yes.
play.
Yes. So 94 points.
Actually, it's a great play, not only in terms of scoring
Yeah.
a lot more, but also
Yeah.
it does shape the board the way he wants it, blocking a
Ooh,
lot of
and
lanes.
Jesse insta challenges here, so he's gonna get another 5. Yep. So yep. Yeah, that's pretty much.
That's the fastest I've
especially
ever
with
seen
Jesse's.
Jesse do anything. 1 second on the clock to
Yeah.
challenge.
It's game over.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
well, yeah, it's. I think Jesse's probably 95% sure that this is a word. He's just,
Yeah, well,
as we often do, realizing that there's not really much of a way to win if he can't, if this is a word. So.
If you have any doubt, you have to challenge
Yep.
there.
Yep. And so. And Chris is now going to go into the bag with the second blank, still unseen, and.
Yeah, Jesse's really
It-
having trouble. This is not his game.
Yeah, it's
When you're 1 letter off of Daimoku,
yeah. The thing that I see on that rack is French figure skater Florent Amodio.
and actually
Yeah.
now Chris may not have a bingo, but he's the kind of
Yeah,
rat
yeah,
like he
this
wants
is
where he can just keep
exactly-
scoring
yeah.
and
Yeah,
putting the game away.
yeah, even. Yeah, cause. Now. Yeah, Chris is on 372. So Chris got 5 points for the challenge, so he's at 372. Jesse Day 219.
It's looking pretty bad for Jesse at this
Yeah.
point. Chance of coming backs are very, very low.
Yeah. Ooh, well, I mean, Duomo's a nice.
Where do you want to put Duomo up top? to
Probably
create
up
the
top
opening?
to
Yep.
create the opening. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably about the best type
Yeah.
of thing he can do in this situation. It's still a very slim shot, but he at least has the triple line and the
Mhm.
H open still for the length.
Yeah.
One of the things
But-
that's so nice about tangents is that it shut out that
Yeah.
lane on the row 14. Other
Yeah.
bingos would not have done that.
Yeah. And well, it scored a lot of points. That helps too.
Sure.
Um.
It's nice when the score
Yeah.
and the rack
Yeah.
management and board shape all work in
Yeah.
conjunction with each other.
So.
Yeah, one thing that will actually work in Jesse's favor with Duomo is Chris's rack is not very well shaped to meet it.
Well, it. Oh no, I'm looking. I'm saying I think it's shaped enough. Even just something like you can just play Diva off of
Yeah.
Duomo.
And that's the case
So-
where he probably just wanted to do that. You don't have to rush
Yeah.
to play the other tiles. You're still
Yeah.
going to score with them,
Yep.
but take out that triple while you can.
Mhm. And yeah. And surprisingly, Jesse is still ahead on time, although
That's changing very
yeah,
soon.
it's changing very soon. Oh,
Got the wrong rack, sorry, my bad.
yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, in a similar vein, yeah, obviously Jesse's way behind here. Similar vein, audio, maybe keeping the M for what's left. But it's kind of...
It's about 6 of one,
it's-
half
yeah,
dozen of the other.
Yeah. Or if he wants to do something like, now what's he?
What is he thinking about here? One thing you often want to do, not that it's a good chance anyway, but is if he had some sort of low probability bingo through the J or something, that would be a one to fish for, even if it's not the highest probability to catch it, because it's the one that is less likely to get blocked. That Chris may not think of or know about or block, and that's the type of thing that can actually get him back in the game. There's a Ouija possibility through the J, which is a funny way to create an opening.
Yeah.
Does leave DOM.
Yeah, with the X out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's actually an interesting point. Yeah, so Ouija does set up the XU spot in a way that could be very dangerous. In terms of shaping the board the way he wants for comebacks and still leaving the T open in tangences and the TH open in a length, there's something to be said for that kind of board shape.
Yeah.
The more I look at it, I actually think Ouija is the type of move Nigel makes in these situations.
Yeah. But it's still very, it's still a very, 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 very tall mountain for Jesse to climb here. I think I should add in a few more varies because Quackle's showing him with less than a 0.5% chance to win from this position.
But one of the things about Ouija is both the D and the M go in front of the A for sevens, and the M goes at the A4 spot, and he has OM as endings there, so it actually works well with his rack.
But on the other hand, Chris would probably automatically go for the 7 spot. And then the M, I mean, Jesse has to draw the X.
It gives him a shot.
It gives him a shot.
It is probably a one-shot deal. He's got to do something right away, draw the right tiles for it. But it is one of those things where Chris can't possibly block all the lanes at once if he does it. I guess the way he could is if he could make an underlap that stops him from front hooking the A and killed off that U lane. That still wouldn't be easy to do, but... Harsh is suggesting that the Q possibilities on the A column might be used if there's some sort of un-Qer there or something.
Yeah.
Like Pulks, P-U-L-Q-U-E-S, is that playable still in the remaining pool?
Yeah. From his rack, yeah. He needs a draw. Yeah. Yeah, it looks like Ouija might be the play here.
These are the kind of things you need to be thinking about here, is how can you create a board that creates these possibilities and these very weird words.
He's going for Duomo. Yeah, and one thing that does take out any Q possibility is, and it's an insta block. It should be Diva should be kind of an insta block here.
Yeah, I do think Ouija was the more dangerous play there.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he's still a very, very big underdog, but you got to do things to make the board a little crazy sometimes when you're in those situations.
Yeah, and
he draws almost all vowels.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a case where Chris should not screw around to close the triple lane right away. Even though he's not scoring as much as in other places, or he'll get those letters down and score later.
Actually, yeah, Diva actually Vapid.
Yeah, Vapid's a good way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm okay with Diva though, because you leave a good spot for Paw on column 13.
Yeah. Right.
Either way though is probably good.
Or Pavid maybe.
The thing about Diva is it partially blocks the H as well.
Right.
So a lot of it comes down to the other clunky letters in the bag. Chris is okay with having some heavy letters to keep scoring, but if he thinks he's likely to pull stuff like the Q with all that stuff, he may want to clear some of them just to not get himself in too much rack trouble.
Yeah.
Um,
Earth.
Either way, though, he's kind of playing with house money at this point.
Yeah. And I can see he's playing diva.
I actually think that's
Fine
good
choice.
intuition.
Yeah.
Not to, I mean, Vapid and Pavid are probably fine, but just
Right.
the partial block of the H might come in handy, and that's more relevant than maximizing the score of this turn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially because the way that he could have gotten very high scoring bonuses off the H is if they started up on the A or the B row.
Yeah. And so...
And of course, Chris draws the other blank. So Chris is showing the key to Scrabble strategy, which is to draw the bag on your opponent.
Yes. Well, and he has weapon.
Yep, weapons.
Yes. When Chris was runner-up in 2014, he beat Adam Logan 3-1 and said he drew the bag 4 times, which is kind of what you have to do in these situations.
Yeah, and things are very bad for Jesse now.
Yeah. Because, I mean, what is Aioli? Yeah. So Chris has 396 and Jesse Day has 241. So 396 for Chris and 241 for Jesse. And there are about 14 tiles left unseen. Oh, there are 14 in the bag. Excuse me. 13 in the bag. Jesse's playing
Yeah. He has to do something like that. And what's clever about that is that the eye on that spot is a little hard to play off of, so it makes it a little more likely it'll stay open, but still it's not good for Jesse right now.
Yeah, especially Chris is just spawned. Yeah. Or... Yeah, actually, his best...
Spawned is just killer.
Yeah, spawned. He also has Wapend as well, which is 100. That's W-A-P-P-E-N-D.
I did not know that word. It's a hook for append.
Yeah. But, yeah.
Oh, it takes no S also.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just spawned.
It's spawned for it's 99 versus 100. So 99 takes Chris to 495.
And this is the point where Jesse's just thinking about conserving his energy for the next game.
This is the point of the game where, if you've noticed, I've been laughing. You just have to laugh at this and just be like, yeah, okay, you know what? Exactly. Don't spend too much energy. Conserve it. You've still got one more game. And be thankful that the format is not at all involving spread.
Well, it wasn't as challenging or interesting as the first game, but I say Tangents was a really nice play.
Yeah,
that was a great find by Chris. Definitely the find of the game.
And
but let's see. Once Chris wins this, is going to even up the match, and we're going to have a
we're definitely going to have a third game
between these two
on the stream.
And I guess it could be. It depends on what the other two matches look like. The other three matches, if they are headed to a decisive third game or not, too. We'll update you with scores on those as we find them out.
So there are three in the bag. What is
Jesse doesn't really have a choice other than just to play off a couple vowels, hope to hit a miracle bingo. He
Yeah.
knows it's not going to win anyway, but it's just a matter of saving face and
Uh-huh.
getting a little bit of spread back here.
Uh-huh. So, is he just playing OE on the bottom left? Or, sorry, bottom right. Other left.
He probably wants to keep a spot
Yep.
open for that BAS hook and a bingo down that lane, and if there is one. Oh, there's not a spot for a bingo because the S is there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless you could overlap everything, but that would be very hard to do.
Well.
But that is again an example of go for the more obscure bingo lane. If you see
Mhm.
something to draw on that spot, you play
Yeah.
for it because it's much more likely that Chris is going to block the lanes up top.
Yeah. Yeah. And Chris has the cue, but he has 2 spots for it. At least. But yeah. And Jesse is down to 2 minutes and twirling his pen.
As we expected, Jesse would get down to the wire.
Uh-huh. Have you ever seen Jesse twirl his pen before? I don't think that I've ever noticed that.
I don't think I have either.
I mean, if it were me,
One of the nice things about, I think, good at Scrabble games is that if you are having a blowout, there's only so much time left on the clock. It can't go on forever.
yeah. And that's why I'd say if there were just a place to play Obelia here, I would just have that down so quickly at this point and be like, yeah, let's just move on. Please just move on. So I'd see, is there anything on this board? He could play Buai through the O. Yeah, there's a suggestion of OBE, but it's he can play OBE
The bottom right, for instance.
in the bottom, in the bottom right, but
It's really just
yeah,
accounting
it's
at this point.
academic, yeah. And BO, so he's leaving. So
He's trying to leave some
leaves-
possible bingo shot, but again,
Mhm.
it's not going to make a huge amount of difference, and Chris is likely
Mhm.
to block.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And now he draws a leaner, of course.
Uh-huh. It's a little too too late. um so so Jesse has 269 now to Chris's 495. Yeah. I mean, for Chris, the queue is a little bit tricky here, but not that.
So I think all Chris is doing is being sure whether
Yeah.
or not he has any bingos, because
Yeah.
he has to get off his
Yeah.
Q and X of the rack somehow. But
Yep.
if he is confident there are no bingos for Jesse, then he
Mhm.
can just
There
do
is
what he
one in
wants.
the bag, but yeah, but
Mhm.
so he should see a leaner.
But does a leaner play?
No.
So as long as he's sure there
Yeah.
are no bingos, he may just
Yeah.
chase after points and play box on column 13 next to OMO. Oh no, Tox
Tox
is no
is
good.
not a
Sorry,
word.
that one doesn't want work. He has something like that where he just chases after points and doesn't really worry about the bingo lanes if he knows there's no spots.
Uh-huh.
So he's double checking and being careful there, and he's got the time to do it. He's got 6
Mhm.
minutes left, so
Or he could just play box off the Y.
oh yeah, there.
And so wait, so knowing Jesse's back, there's an R in the bag. Chris might also think that he's got a chance of drawing, after playing box, drawing the A for hike to go out. Although that's 1 and 8.
Well, if he had the A to BAUX right now.
Yeah. But
Yeah, at this point, we're not playing for spreads. It doesn't matter much. But in the main tournament, these are the situations often where if you see the opponent has nothing, you can sometimes know that they've given up hope and actually set yourself up for a big out and milk some more spread.
yeah. Yeah, and also it's just something that as a top player, as an aspiring top player, you want to make sure that you get these situations right. You don't want to just play fast and loose here.
Because in a closer game, sometimes that does make a difference.
But he's just playing QIN.
So he's actually going for 7 tiles because he sees some good possibility, maybe? Curious if he would do that instead of just
bow, Urbex, no, or Xer, but that doesn't hit the double.
Well, he could have played QIN off of the blank end and tangences, but he may not be thinking about the fact that's an end, so he can actually play his eye there.
Well, okay, he did draw box here, but yeah, and Jesse's down to 3 seconds. So
leaving Neural as an out, for instance.
yeah.
Unreal in the
Unreal,
bottom left.
yeah.
Is what he's
So
going for
he's
there.
out. Yeah, so he's out. So Chris, right? So Chris is now at 507. To Jesse Day's 281. Oh, and he's played Boxer. And Jesse goes out with Unreal for 21 points, and you heard the ah because he did in fact go 1 second over. So yeah, so Chris, so
we have news on the other matches.
yes,
Paul Gallen won to even his match with Brett Smether in 1-1. Wellington also won, and I think that's also a split match.
That is a split match as
and
well.
Nigel did win, so his match is done. He beats Paul by 2 games to none. So we have 3 deciding games coming up in the next round.
And so, yeah, let's just get an update. So the final score should be Chris Lipe 535, Jesse Day 306. Yes, and friendship is magic, everybody. So we will have a game 3, and we'll be back to tell you who's going to be there. And we've got 3 matches knotted at 1-1. There should be some more interesting Scrabble ahead.